Ahoy, fellow ribosome donors.
And welcome aboard the Joy of Trek, a clandestine podcast exploring the cores and zones of Star Trek.
All of it.
I'm Cocky.
I'm Kay.
And out in the neutral zone is your chief engineer, Greg.
Greg, what are you doing there?
Oh no!
Together we're on a mission through the location oh gosh.
Oh no, I did it, I missed a bit. Keep going.
Together we are on a mission through the windswept planets of Star Trek.
Oh, nice.
To find the common ground in every conflict and the excellence in every episode.
Even the defective children.
Because every episode must be someone's favorite and it might as well be us.
So crawl through your crevice and join us as we fumble into the Joy of Trek.
At least you got that last one right.
I actually didn't, because it says tumble, I now realize.
Oh,
And
well.
I wrote the script this time, so...
Close
Jeez,
enough.
You're so much better at this than we are. Although, when we sort of fumble our way through, and it takes us a while, the listeners at home get to hear more of Fox and Moore's excellent opening theme
Oh,
tune.
very true, yes.
So
Which we
that's
unfortunately
fun.
don't get to hear until I listen back to the episode, so...
Hey, I can maybe put it under one of the buttons on our recording device.
I suppose so, yes.
Yeah, it'd be really loud, and then we'd have to struggle to,
Okay,
to
so
keep up with the timing.
maybe not then, right? Yeah, it's probably easier to have it like fitted in later and make sure that
have the
it's
chief
like
make us
it
sound
actually
good?
feels
Yeah,
good. Yeah,
right.
exactly. So today's episode is The Enemy, Star Trek Next Generation episode,
Yeah!
season 3, episode 7.
Written by David Kemper,
Yes, I noticed that.
whom we know from Farscape
Yeah.
as one of the showrunners, and Michael Piller, and directed by David Carson. I also noticed in the opening credits, Richard Manning was one of the co-producers, aka Frunium. Ricky Manning was one of the chief writers on Farscape as well.
Oh, okay, yes.
Yeah, so
Oh,
a lot
yeah.
of alumni would later move over to Australia.
Ah, all right. And well, of course, we have, what's his name, who ended up going to Babylon 5.
Commander Tomalok, played by Andreas Katsoulas
Yes.
of blessed memory.
And yeah, so this week's episode.
The Enemy, yes. What happened, Kay?
Oh, an away team gets partially stranded on a ship. Georgie takes up blacksmithing and searching the combing windswept beaches with a device intended to find neutrino sources.
Where he ain't found shit! In the words of Tuvok.
That's Tuvok, yes, I was going to say. Meanwhile, let's see, how am I going with this one? What can I put on that?
Yeah. I'm really interested to see how you're going to summarize the other plot.
Ooh, let's see. There is a borderline incursion which may lead... that's far too serious a description
It
of
is
what
a very
actually
serious
what actually happened. Yes, but you know how I like to
Okay,
be
yes.
technically correct about what I'm saying.
Which is the best kind of correct.
Yet it being completely useless, really. Yes, well, let's just say that there's a little conflict over the... oh, well, no, it's all projection with Romulans. There we go.
Oh, okay. Yep. And there's also a bit of an ethical dilemma for one of the officers on board the ship.
Well, yeah. I'd say call it a moral dilemma, not an ethical, but...
Oh, yes, you're right. Well, Picard gets the ethical dilemma, doesn't he?
No, not really.
Well, when he's tempted to... Okay, we'll get there.
Yeah, all right.
Okay, before we start this episode, let's look at why it was recommended to us.
Oh, yes.
Because I managed, in the preparation for this, to copy and paste this without actually reading it. I'm very proud of myself. The Enemy was recommended by Leah. Oh, I think we know Leah.
Oh.
If it's the same one. They also recommended our very first episode.
Oh, very good.
In lists of both... That's the one. In lists of both favorite and underrated Star Trek episodes, this one seemed to get lost in the shuffle. I rarely see anybody talk about it, which is baffling, as it's one of my all-time favorites. As someone playing an engineer in Star Trek Adventures campaign, I adore Geordi's creativity in this episode. He makes it work even at such a horrible disadvantage, in my opinion, an engineer's best trait. The chemistry between Geordi and Bochra makes the near friendship they form so much sweeter, and Worf's indifference toward the death of a Romulan he could have saved all the more troubling. I love Trek episodes that allow characters to not always be the better person, and this is a perfect example. It's also hard to ignore the line, "I never lie when I've got sand in my shoes, Commodore."
There's a lot of sand in that boot, I'll say that. Also, surprisingly dry sand considering the wet conditions in the...
I know. Maybe it's one of those space-age wonder fabrics that their uniforms are made of, which is the reason why they don't have raincoats or any kind of survival gear.
It's like super Gore-Tex.
That's my... Actually, no, I'm going to spend a...
I say we eject the
spend a
war
core on this. You go to a planet with horrible storms, no earpieces, no hats, no gloves, no rope, no first aid kit, you've got flashlights that occupy an entire hand, nothing on a carabiner, no belt. The list goes on. What else do they have? Flares, so you can find each other.
Yeah, it sinks. Well, the flare's going to get blown away like nothing in a way. I mean, you're Dutch. You've seen rockets going up in windy weather at New Year's.
Yeah, that's true.
It doesn't really work very well once there's a stiff breeze.
And no audio sort of locator or
You'd have thought,
interface.
you'd think so, yeah, that was something like that, you know. But I guess
Geordi's visor.
Yeah.
That was it. That's
okay.
I just have to get that off my chest.
Doesn't that feel good?
It does, but we don't normally. Oh no, I do think there's more plasma going to come out.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry. Because if we dive into this episode, we've done all this.
I don't think actually I have a warp core to breach on this episode.
Oh,
I've got some comments here and there,
yeah,
of course,
I was
but
say,
no,
what did other people think about
actually,
it?
Oh yes. Let me.
Hey, that's a thing that we do.
Grab
at the
my
start.
notes. Yes. Jammer's review says the enemy deals with the issue of Cold War-style brinkmanship better than any TNG story I can immediately recall. Picard's risky gesture of trust to defuse the situation is a memorable one. The final solution is perhaps a bit pat, but the story earns its peaceful payoff by bringing together all the plot threads with commendable precision.
Yeah, I think so too.
Keith R.A. the Candido, writing for a Rector mag, says the interplay between the two ship's captains is wonderful, snide, and tense, and very well played by the two actors. From Stewart's intensity to Katsula's smarminess.
Yes.
And he's also got something to say about the ribosome donation, but I'll probably include to the point where that... no, actually... I can say that right now. So,
yeah.
What makes this plotline work is that any other character would be behaving reprehensibly, and you could argue that Worf is also. But, by his own lights, he's doing what he must do. That human values aren't forced upon the plot makes the plot so much more compelling and is a refreshing bit of unpredictability in a plot that is otherwise quite so.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
yes.
I think that's really valid. And that's something that was also shared by Michael Dorn. And I've actually got a quote.
Yeah.
Dorn commented, I called the producers and I said I didn't agree. I thought giving blood was the honourable thing to do. I thought people would look at Worf as a murderer. The producers felt that Worf was getting to be too human, just a guy with a big head. When
Right.
the opportunity came for them to show that Worf was not human, that he's not bound by the same morals as we are, they felt it was a wonderful opportunity. And in hindsight, Dorn saw the wisdom of the decision, remarking how it revealed the different sides of Worf.
Yeah. No. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I really agree with that, because you can be bound by a moral code, you can be bound by an oath of loyalty, and then there's what you want and what you don't want. And when that is asked of you, and it's about your body, you have to be honest.
Well, okay, now that we're here anyway, might as well go all aboard with this particular plot line.
Oh, okay.
I don't think Picard ever was going to give that order, because it would be a blatantly illegal order. Because it'd be basically ordering someone to give up their bodily autonomy.
Yeah, but the captain can do that anyway.
Can he?
I order you to
Chop your hand off.
To swim into that tube and turn this knob knowing that you won't survive, yeah. They can order people to their deaths, so...
Right, but that's...
I mean, I imagine that they...
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Captain
I think
Jellicoe
that's...
probably,
I
cut
think
your
that's
third finger off. I don't like
Yeah.
officers with more than 9 fingers. So
Yeah.
remove one of those third fingers and cover your second breast.
Yeah, I don't think that's illegal. That'd be a legal order. I'm pretty sure that they can't do that kind of thing.
Leah, grab a cup of tea. It may be some time before we actually start with this episode. I don't know. I mean, it's maybe something that's reprehensible after the fact, but certainly, imagine if the stakes were higher. Right?
Yeah.
That's the Romulan Praetor. I mean, the stakes are plenty high. There's the belief that the death of this officer in this episode, this Romulan officer, can precipitate a war. And, I mean, the captain could order one of their soldiers, one of their crew, to surrender themselves to imprisonment. They have to make these judgments, right?
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure that they're bound by certain things that they can and cannot do. It's like jump off a cliff, you know? That's not a legal order.
Well,
And this is essentially no, it's not.
I mean, is there no circumstances in which that? Because on its own, plainly, there's no basis for it. But there could be a circumstantial motivation.
Yeah, but I mean,
do you think the chief has faded us out already?
Probably,
you know how he did that the last time?
I know,
we got
yes.
lost in it?
Well, I mean, it's kind of like saying he'll probably ask for volunteers, and then
Yeah, he
knowing
did.
that there probably will be, it's like those people who went down into the tunnels in Chernobyl to turn off the valves and everything.
Yeah.
They volunteered. They weren't ordered to go there.
True.
It also turns out that they thought they were going to get killed because of the amounts of radiation, but because they actually had to wade through the flooded tunnels, water is a really good moderator. So some of them lived to quite a ripe age because the water just protected them against the
actual radiation. It's also, a lot of radioactive material is all water soluble, and it's a great transmitter for that as well, until you just get it into your body. But interesting. Okay, shall we dive into the episode? Because we're probably going to bump into that again.
Okay, sure.
Okay, here we go.
Placing beam out marker. Return transport, 14 minutes, 40 seconds. Is your view any better, Geordi?
Not too bad, Commander. A lot of charged particle precipitation. But I can compensate.
Communicators are dysfunctional. Tricorders. Readings only valid within 5 meters. Good thing we didn't bring data. We'd be unscrambling his circuits for a week.
Off we go.
And we are on the planet. It is a very dark, very winch-swept planet.
Lots of lightning.
Storms, electromagnetic precipitation.
Yeah, not exactly clear what that is. Why don't you have raincoats? Why don't you have hats?
I kind of wanted to see Worf with one of those little plastic capuchon. What's the English word for it?
A little hoodie.
Yeah. Just because his do was getting a lot of work. It was getting blown about. Maybe one of those little things was like, a little heart motif, like you can see old ladies with protecting their hair.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful.
I mean, his hair wasn't quite as good like in season 3 as it later became.
But Riker should be in slicks. Do you know what I mean? Or what are they called? Like the hardcore water repellent garment of like fisher folk.
Oh, right, yes. I mean, yes, I guess.
He's a big bear of a man from Alaska. Like he's probably done some fishing from time to time.
True. Deadliest cash and all that.
Yeah.
So yes, they're looking for. I think they
What are they looking for?
Well, that's the thing is, like, we later hear that they also received the...
Oh, there was distress signal.
But that wasn't actually...
It doesn't get mentioned until much later. It doesn't, like, Captain's log.
Exactly. We're responding to a distress call, and the away team is beamed down to the planet, blah, blah,
in their pajamas.
In their work clothes.
In their casual sort of Friday is every day here.
In their uniforms. Find the remnants of a Romulan ship, which has been blown up.
Yeah, Geordi detects some... look, there's
conductive material. There's conductive material there.
Oh, that's exciting, isn't it?
You mean iron, yeah, or whatever.
Well, lots of things are conductive under the right circumstances.
Mostly metals.
Recognize those markings, Worf? Yes, sir. Romulan. What the hell were they doing in the Federation sector?
Yes. So now we know that the Romulans have had an illegal incursion into Federation territory.
Yeah, they're not supposed to be here. And they find a survivor.
Yes. And just like Vulcans have their famous neck pinch, the Klingons have their famous nose punch.
Yeah, with an open claw-shaped hand, which,
I think he just drives the heel of his hand against the Romulans'
I'd
nose.
like to think that, because it's a...
Which is also quite dangerous, because if you like break the nose and you push it up into the...
into the brain,
you can get... Not sure if that's I'm not sure if that's apocryphal, but it's apparently dangerous.
Oh, no, it's a definite scientific fact that was propagated by all the sort of 8-year-old boys on my primary school, for whom it was definitely true, and I was completely convinced.
Yes. Geordi, meanwhile, is prowling about and falls through a oubliette, or whatever you want to call it.
Oh, yeah, that's a good reference, like a little sinkhole.
Yeah.
And he's just gone. And I thought this scene was, I know this is kind of my catchphrase, this was brilliant. Because you've got both of them, everybody's yelling through the fog.
Nobody's hearing anything. I guess communicators don't work because of the electromagnetic precipitation.
Yes, exactly. Worf said communicators are dysfunctional, whatever that means. And they've set up a pattern enhancer with a timer for 14 minutes. That's when they're all getting beamed up, but they have to be back at the pattern enhancer.
Right. I thought that was because of the window in the electromagnetic storm, which was
oh, yeah, that's true.
Up.
We also don't know that yet.
Apparently they had 14 minutes. That's at least the impression I got. Like, okay, we have 14 minutes, and then we get beamed back. And not entirely clear if it was automatic or not, but it turns out later that, the next window is 9 minutes, and, they just have a limited amount of time in which they can be on the planet.
So they go searching for Geordi while dragging the surviving Romulan knocked out back to the pattern enhancer.
Yeah.
And Geordi's lying in a puddle of mud.
Yeah, at the bottom of this cave.
Yeah. I've never seen a Starfleet uniform just...
That muddy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This whole set is great, and he's stuck at the bottom of a cavern, goes looking for his visor, which he finds happily. I was wondering if they were going to do a Velma from Scooby-Doo kind of thing. Jinkies!
But yes, he starts calling for Worf, he starts calling for Riker. Riker has a quick little foray to try and find Geordi, but he stops Worf from going after him. And
yes.
They get beamed back on board, leaving Geordi stranded on the planet.
Dun, dun, dun!
Skip the intro scene of the credit scene.
Yeah, I've seen him.
Yeah.
I've seen him many, many times.
I'm kind of wondering about the logistics here, because they've arrived on the transporter pad.
Yeah.
The medics are there really quickly, but apparently, they've been just standing there around waiting for them to arrive, and they don't just do an emergency transport the Romulan over to sickbay, I guess.
Well, communications were defective. They weren't able to, call ahead.
Exactly.
Right.
So then why do the medics arrive so quickly?
Oh, yeah. I guess it's like do you know in Naked Gun? No, not Police Squad.
Yes.
The short-lived television series
I've only seen a few episodes.
Naked Gun.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so Detective Drebin always, voiceovers as he goes to the scene of the crime, and he says, my boss was already on the scene. Well, and every time, the police commissioner is just there before the detective arrives to explain to him what's going on. And it really confronts you with what a ridiculous premise that is.
Yes. Okay, so
maybe there's a Starfleet protocol where when somebody's beamed aboard, they're 3 different teams just waiting outside in case they get called in, then can be right on time.
Yes.
It's very disappointing because if they don't get called, then they have to hide.
It's a really stupid, boring duty. Yeah.
Yeah. But anytime they complain, then Chief O'Brien just goes, yeah, well, at least you're not a transporter chief, are you?
Yeah.
And that shuts them up real quick, and they'll go for Mai Tais.
The electrical storm's creating thousands of ghosts.
Well, beam some of those ghosts back. One of them may be Geordi.
Picard and Riker have a little walk and talk. Also, they clearly don't need raincoats because these uniforms are water repellent, man. Riker is dry the moment he gets back. Or maybe it's a filter in the...
if I get transported, I do not want a moisture filter because I don't trust that.
No, probably not.
Don't trust that.
No.
And also, just having wet clothes is just, it's cold.
True.
You want to be warmer than that. And to protect your head, and protect your vision, and all that. Oh no, I am going to get really upset by the lack of safety equipment. Just hard hats.
Yeah.
Right, helmets. Helmets. You got brains. Protect them.
There's a bit of a seriousness going on because...
this whole episode is quite serious.
Yeah, because now, of course, there's evidence that the Romulans are here on Galorndon Core. Yes.
Say that 10 times fast.
Galorndon Core, yeah.
Galorndon Core.
So Riker wants to go back. Picard immediately denies it. Windows closed.
Yep.
There's nothing we can do.
The Romulan craft is a total loss. There's nothing there to salvage, unless you want to use tweezers.
I don't think he said shuttle, but yeah.
Scan?
Yeah, I mean, the scanning isn't really going to do anything, we know.
There might be bits in writing or something.
Yeah.
There might be, a physical
true.
log or an alien creature they were experimenting on or whatever. But no, it's a complete write-off. Definitely nothing interesting on that craft.
Geordi escapes from the pit by making himself some nice metal spikes.
He makes his own, what are they called, pitons? Or are those the bits that you leave behind?
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of ice climbing picks, or picks is probably the best he can do.
Ah, good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he finds these granules that he recognizes on his visor.
As ore of some sort, yes.
And he lays them down in little furrows in the mud that he made, and then he phasers that, and he makes it into a spike.
And then there must be a whole deleted scene there where he's actually forging those sort of things around, because the pikes that he's holding later are much rounder and much more tapered than the shape that he's making in the...
Blacksmithing with K. Welcome to our first episode of Blacksmithing with K. Now we just have this example. So he's, what do you call one of those sort of shapes? He's made a mold. Yeah. Right, let's put some ore into...
Casting mold, yeah.
Casting mold, yeah, okay. Now walk us through the process, and which other steps did you think that there were?
Well, in order to get those spikes, he would have actually had to make an anvil of sorts, or maybe use a flat bit of rock for that. He'd also have to... Okay, so this is quite a process, because in order to... So actually, what I think happened is the first thing that we see him making here is the metal handle. The next thing we don't see him making is the metal head of the hammer. which he then puts together, and then he uses that to actually make more of these spikes, which he then hammers down into a nice, round, pleasing shape.
Right,
which he then proceeds to use to climb up.
Yeah, leaving behind the workshop that he's been crafting for this.
All right, that's my deleted scene.
Thank you for that. And Chief, thank you for what I'm sure has been some lovely background music for Smithing with K. Is there a better title that we can give to this new podcast within a podcast that we're just doing? Pound It with K.
K's Pound Town.
K's Pound Town, yeah! Oh, I'm sure we'll be back before too long. That's... K's Pound Town sounds like an elective on Starbase 69.
Well, yeah,
welcome to Starbase 69. Let's get you oriented. There's K's Pound Town over there.
Here's your schedule.
Yeah! The ones in green are marked optional. The ones in red are mandatory attendance. There's not that many. Don't worry about it. Okay. I thought it was cool that there's no explanation given. He doesn't have a monologue.
No.
Oh, I should look around whether there's a... Maybe I can make a rudimentary lathe.
Well, it's a good example of show, don't tell. You know?
Yeah.
It's easy enough to get the steps right. Meanwhile, the Romulan is alive, but he needs a rhinestone replacement or something.
Ribosome. Because Dr. Crusher figured she'd have an easier time treating him on the assumption that he was more similar to Vulcans. But no, there's subtle differences. And
Many of them.
Yeah, not all of her treatments are working. But she has detected that he's been affected seriously by the magnetics on the planet.
Yes.
And it's Riker who goes, oh.
Will that affect Geordi the same way?
Yeah,
because that's
probably.
still his concern.
Yeah. I mean, in a way, they don't know how long the Romulans have been. I mean, I guess they have some idea because of the timing of the distress call.
Yeah.
So they knew how long it took them to get there, and that would have given them some information.
Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting because on a different Star Trek episode, that would have totally been mentioned, and we would have had a ticking clock for how long they have before they depolarize. But that's not what happens in this episode.
No, I guess it's not an episode in which the pressure of time is played for a significant factor. It's only used to force Geordi and, what's his name, Block or whatever? Bochra cooperating.
Ah.
Because that pressure of, time running out is what gets them working together, whereas it's not used as an element to heighten the tension. All the tension is coming from the diplomatic incident.
Yes, which also has time pressure, but not specifically a clock.
Right, yeah. So I think it's better this way, actually.
I think so too. So they're standing around this Romulan, and Riker insists that Crusher bring him to consciousness so he can be questioned, which he doesn't recommend. And the Romulan... Ooh, by the way, this is Steve Rankin playing the Romulan Patak. He previously played the Klingon Yeto in Invasive Procedures when they took over DS9. He was the other Klingon alongside Tim Russ.
Oh, right, yes.
Yeah.
Nice.
Who got a bit more to do there. He's got these metallic things on his head, these medical devices.
Yeah.
I really like how the Romulans look in Next Generation.
They do. A little bit hard to cuddle with, considering the spikes on their uniform, but,
Hey, some people are into that.
True.
God, shoulder pads.
Ah, yes.
This is totally like Madonna would have rocked this outfit, right?
It's about the right time for it, so yes.
I will not answer questions.
We need to know if there are other survivors on the surface.
I am alone. I will not answer any questions.
It's like a soft citizen being stopped by a police officer. It's like, I will not answer any questions.
Oh, I do not acknowledge any law that I didn't consent to.
Yeah.
Hey.
So, but Riker's, do you have another ship that we need to call? Can we call your mom? It's like,
Can we call you mommy, honey? Hey, honey, do you have an adult that we need to talk to? Do you have any friends down there?
hey, little buddy. How's it going?
Hey there, buddy. Oh, well, that's a horrible interrogation technique. Imagine waking up on an alien spaceship and go, hey, buddy. Where's your cortical node, buddy?
Ooh, oh, gosh.
Yeah. It sort of feels... Okay, it's weird how we're pulling references from episodes that are decades apart, and it just feels so natural because that's our experience from week to week.
Right. Well, actually, you mentioned this, but when I was doing the searching for quotes and stuff, I came across something that said this was a definite recommended episode to watch before you start Picard, to get an idea of how the Romulans operate and what they're like.
Yes, and Picard's relationship with the Romulans in the specific, which goes very far. Yeah, I think that's a really good point. We're going to see more of that when we get Tomalak introduced, which I think is about, that's happening just about now.
Quite soon. Well, first there is Wesley, who...
A neutrino pulse. We could build a portable neutrino source and send it in a probe to the planet's surface. It'll act like a beacon.
Geordi's visor will be able to see that, and then he can modulate it to let him know that we found it, and then we can beam him out.
Yep. This is in response to Riker standing on the bridge and demanding ideas for rescuing Geordi, because that's, like, front of his mind. I think it's interesting that Picard is there and letting Riker do this. Mm-hmm. So Wesley goes off to implement this idea, and then a Romulan ship from the inside of the Romulan zone, the Romulan neutral zone, is hailing them. And it's the amazing Andreas Katsoulas, who is also Jakar on Babylon 5. That is how you pronounce it.
Yeah. We have received your distress signal, and we are going to violate the treaty to come pick you up. It's basically what it's like, what he's transmitting on an open frequency.
Yeah, interesting.
Yes.
Because he's communicating with this ship, the Pi. Hey, that's nice.
Pi.
Pi. Pi. How far can you get in pi? How can you calculate into how many decimals? Doctor?
I tend to go by
3.141.
Yeah.
59.
Or 22/7.
265. 3897?
I don't know. I just do whenever I need. Whenever I need it accurately, I do just go for it with 22/7.
Oh,
and that's more than accurate enough to calculate anything. Anything practical, and you probably get the circuit.
Firm Pi. There's a band called Hard and Firm, which has a song called Pi, which has a bit of an intro. So let me tell you about it. Like there's a rap bit, and there's a whole bit where this chorus of women sings all the decimals, all the numbers in sequence, but it starts off with this incantation. Listen.
When ink and pen in hands of men inscribe your form by P to P, they draw an altar on which God has slaughtered
all debility.
No eyes could ever soak in all the places.
Okay.
It's so sort of esoteric. I love it. That's Pi by Hard and Firm, and maybe we'll have another clip of it later because it gives you an interesting mnemonic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's say it like it's 22/7 as far as I'm concerned.
Okay. As opposed to, I do believe that North Korean textbooks at one point declared that it was 4.
Wow.
That would be similar, yeah.
Well, good luck with the automotive industry at that point.
Yeah. Or the biblical interpretation of 3, which is better than 4.
Absolutely.
But still nowhere near good enough for any kind of...
I recently heard something about that where someone got the wrong number for pi, so like it's definitely this, and then he tried to convince the legislature of some U.S. state to declare by law for that to be officially pi, but license them the right to use it for free.
Wait,
whereas everybody else would have to pay royalties or something.
Pay royalties for a number?
I know. It was like an insane... Like it went through the House, but the Senate went like, wait a minute.
Hey, Chief, can you look this up? Because I would love to listen to this back in about 6 weeks.
Yeah, so this is the Indiana Pi Bill. So it was Bill 246 of the 1897 sitting of the Indiana General Assembly. Wow, reading this just really upset me as someone whose family is Hoosiers, because of course it's Indiana. Sadly, it's Indiana. Yeah, so it's not really about pi itself, but it is just a way to come up with a method to square the circle. So how to actually solve for the circumference of a circle without using pi. I want to read one little segment here. So, according to the Indianapolis News article on February 14th, 1897, quote, "The bill was brought up and made fun of. The senators made bad puns about it, ridiculed it, and laughed over it. The fun lasted half an hour. Senator Hubble says that it was not meet for the Senate, which was costing the state $250 a day, to waste its time in such frivolity." So they moved it to have an indefinite postponement of the bill and really just kind of turned into everything about making fun of the Indiana physicist who, quote unquote, discovered this, Edward J. Goodwin. And then if you look at the Wikipedia page, there's a fun little political cartoon just of him like a snake oil salesman, and I can appreciate that. But yeah, this one is funny and sad at the same time because just, oh, Indiana, what are you doing?
Whoa, thank you. Notice every now and again, while Picard and Tomalak are speaking, because he's hailed the Romulans, Worf, you cut to Worf every now and again, and he's just furious.
Yeah, he's just standing there going, grrr.
Yeah. And he's normally got a very, attentive, growly attitude, but this is, something is eating him up inside. Michael Dorn is doing a great job.
Just the sight of the Romulan is offensive to him.
And Tomalak is doing a wonderful job.
He's sweet as pie.
Hey! Air horns, please! Thank you! Thank you! Yeah, because he starts off gaslighting.
One of our ships had a slight navigational error and apparently crashed on Galorndon Core.
It's because of the implications, basically.
Yeah.
Everything what he says. But it's also interesting, I'm going to have to go on a little side tangent here about the character and the methods
Are we heading
of
back
Romulans.
to Case Pound Town, or
No,
is this a different one?
No, it's not
All
about
right.
blacksmithing this time. So the Romulans are, let's just put it like this. It's always, they're hypocrites. They're the biggest bunch of hypocrites that's around. There's any ship in the neutral zone from the Federation is immediately an act of war and will be shot and fired upon. But when they do it, then they expect, oh no, but we have an excuse. We're doing it for good reasons.
Yeah, the Enterprise has literally done the same thing, and the excuse has been challenged, but also accepted. This does go both ways.
Yeah, but the Romulans tend to start by shooting. A little bit first, and then
on their side. That's just the opening sort of negotiation.
Right. Yes, like we saw the Klingon cruiser do a few episodes ago, shooting on Enterprise.
Yeah, okay, but Klingons are a very different culture.
But traditional the hailing fire frequencies.
Oh yes, the hailing torpedoes.
Yes.
Okay, so none of this was established. For Romulan society is secrecy, to the point it's described that traditional Romulan houses have a false front door that's purely decorative.
Okay,
they marvel at the fact that travel records or inventories are public record. That just doesn't make any sense to a Romulan, because you start off doing it in
zero trust, basically.
Well, just a different mechanism,
right, yeah.
But you start off with secrecy, so that's how they do everything, and then you follow that up by lying, and then eventually, you can negotiate your way to an honest relationship.
Right, because that's basically what he does. It's like, oh yeah, one of our ships made a navigation error. See, Ricardo Piker, Jesus.
Hey, I'm the one sipping from a glass of Ricard.
Anyway. Spoonerizing the two main characters here.
That's fun.
Anyway. So yes, it was a one-man ship.
I'll got to operate the shields here. The Enterprise does this all the time. And on errands of mercy, which Tomalak later throws back, I'm almost feeling like...
Well, yeah, the difference is that in this case, they first started with an incursion. They started... It's like, oh yes, we're coming to rescue our people that we sent there illegally. But it's a mission of mercy. They're like, no, that's called a false flag operation.
Well, okay.
Actually, that's not correct, but you know what I mean.
Here we go. Every Starfleet officer learns this during their training. That's the exact model for the Kobayashi Maru training. That there is a ship in trouble, in that case, the Klingon neutral zone, and they decide to violate the neutral zone and rescue them without informing the Klingons. Only when they get caught, start with secrecy. When they get caught, then say it's a mission in mercy. And who's to say that's not the case? Who's to say that Tomalak isn't telling the truth? And we don't actually find out what the motivation was for the Romulans.
Well, no, we don't, because we never learn what the ship was. We do know that he lies constantly.
Yeah,
like they all do.
Standard policy. Yeah. Destroying your equipment lest it fall into the hands of an unfriendly...
which also suggests, shenanigans.
But that may also be standard policy.
Yeah, okay.
If your ship crashes outside of our control, destroy it, because that technology is not for anyone but us. So, I get what you're saying, Kay, but
Captain, we will be at the Federation border of the neutral zone in roughly 5 hours. We will expect you to rendezvous at that time.
Because that is the diplomatically correct solution. Because ships are allowed to travel into the neutral zone.
Right.
Although that is under heavy supervision, and it's immediately the start of at least a diplomatic incident.
Yes.
but not exit the other side.
Yeah.
And so the way to solve this is, okay, we clearly have citizens in trouble. We have, some kind of extradition treaty. So come and deliver them, and we'll expect you to be there as soon as we arrive. Now, probably Tomalak doesn't expect this to happen, but he is offering the opportunity to Picard.
I mean, maybe he might expect it to happen. He's just not aware of the situation on the planet, which prevents the Enterprise from doing exactly that. Although I do have another point about that, which someone I saw online mentioned about that incident.
Oh, yeah, let's have it.
Well, okay. I mean, we're going to do
I
it when
think
we
it's
get to
during
the
this
point.
dialogue that Picard has mentioned it to Tomalak, that we have stranded crew.
But someone I can't remember what the name was, some Reddit user went like, why didn't they split the ship? Leave the saucer section here around the planet so that to beam up and take the drive section with all the weaponry over to the edge of the neutral zone.
Yeah, you'd think. Because it's an expensive special effect. It takes ages, and it would have solved so many other problems. So many other episodes could have been solved with exactly this process that I guess they just don't want to admit that it's possible.
Yeah.
Oh, we've recently been treated to another saucer separation on Star Trek Discovery. It finally happened again. It occurred to someone. It's really, really amazing.
All right. So I guess it's more ships can do that? I mean, if it's on Discovery, then it's like...
well, Gene Roddenberry figured that the old Enterprise could have done it. They just never did it in an episode.
Right.
It just never came up, and it would have been an expensive effect, because the model would have to be retooled.
Right, of course.
I don't think Voyager can do it. I think canonically she can't.
It seems like a thing that the bigger ships would do, not the smaller ones.
I think it's different schools of starship design, I guess.
Yeah.
Because the later Sovereign class, like Enterprise E, which, yes, was a little bit smaller than the D, but certainly packed a lot more punch, I think she couldn't separate either.
Okay.
She was a smooth, continuous hull.
Also...
Oh, yeah?
And it's just something that occurred to me while I was watching this. Like, Betazoid emotion sensing.
Yeah.
How does it work across comm channels? Apparently so, because that Romulan is a heck of a long distance away.
I was thinking the same thing. I hope that in addition to that, like, she also has,
of course,
training in reading body language.
Although, actually, we learned from that other episode that she doesn't really rely on that. She probably had that training. Remember the episode where she loses her power?
Yes.
So she can probably do it, but she probably generally
really
relies...
rusty at
exactly.
It because what's a tell again?
On the other hand... she might be really good at it just because she has learned to associate the...
She gets to practice all the time. Yeah, you're right.
Exactly. It's much easier for her to pick up on a tell because she can feel the emotion that goes with the motion.
Yeah. So she's seeing them all the time. No, yeah, you're right.
Oh, she must be fantastic at their poker nights. It's like...
It seems to be Riker who's the one.
Right, but you'd think that, wouldn't that be super unfair, playing poker against a Betazoid?
Yeah. Maybe they, all get her plastered. Okay, no, you need a third shot of tequila before we'll sit down. But I've just got a little...
Or you're wearing an inhibitor.
Fine, you never let me have any fun. Okay, so Geordi has just spotted through his visor this multispectral view that we see through his eyes, which includes a beam shining up from somewhere in the rocks beyond.
Yes, which the neutrino wave. And so this week's sand-filled boots of conclusion jumping are firmly with Geordi.
Yay. I need a sound effect for oh, that's nothing. A sound effect to reward you, because that's so great.
Are definitely for Georgie, because that must have been Wesley who thought that up. Not any of the other 428 engineers on the ship.
No, it has to be the boy.
Yes.
The boy genius.
A stationary neutrino source. Wesley Crusher. Thank you, Wesley.
But his excitement is short-lived, because this sinister music starts up.
Yes.
Because we were still doing synthesizers back in season 3.
It was 87, It's like the age of synthesizers.
Oh yeah, I think by season 4, they switched to an orchestra and Dennis McCarthy as and there's these boots step out of the shadows.
Yes, and he gets punched out by a somewhat disheveled-looking Romulan.
He's frizzy-haired and waits for Geordi to wake up. You know what? It's just occurring to me. Geordi has woken up as a prisoner of Romulans quite a lot.
Good point, yes.
It seems to happen a lot to him, doesn't it?
Oh, God, it must be Tuesday again.
Well, at least it's not Harry Kim, who gets, kidnapped and violated by just about everyone.
Kidnapped.
And he's so... it must have been some time, because the mud on his tunic is all dried by now.
He's face down. I mean, he does have dried.
He rolls up. It's all crusty. It's all dusty.
A little bit.
And he's so cool.
Yeah, this is like one of the quotes that our lovely chief gave us last week. It's like, surely a strategic triumph for the Romulan Empire.
Oh, we're dropping out of warp, which means we have to take a quick break. So we'll jump. We'll be right back, and then we'll find out what they say to each other.
While the boys are taking their break, here's a clip from our Patreon exclusive episode this month. Rather than the normal watch along of an episode that we have talked about here in the podcast in the last month, this month I was surprised by just a random episode of Battlestar Galactica. So I'm completely new to all of this. I have no idea what's going on, and it was a fun time. You heard me talking about costumes a lot because, of course, I talked about costumes a lot. It's who I am. So without further ado, here's just a little clip from this month's episode. I know, like, the cast for it.
Oh, this is the wrong episode.
Okay, everyone, we're not actually watching The Man with Nine Lives.
No, this is a double.
We're watching War of the Gods.
this is a double episode. So
there's a Tony Schwartz in it.
Yes, there is.
And Lockhart. Okay, how long does this run? Because I'm kind of into it now.
Did Glenn A. Larson do anything else?
He did
I know that
everything.
Name.
Knight Rider.
Okay.
Buck Rogers.
Yep. Definitely anything with a red light going left to right.
Magnum PI. He did absolutely everything.
Like I recognize the name at least.
Whoa! There's a giant sort of Tron-like light ship with all sort of like Eurovision sparkles around it.
It's the crystalline entity.
It kind of like the shape of it also is like the shape of it the shape of it inspired other stuff, I think, because I swear I've seen that kind of shape in other spaceships since then.
Oh my god, they're playing Spaceball!
Yeah. So
look at those outfits! Oh my god, bare midriff! The sluts playing ball! Okay.
So this is one of the things that they tried to take over from this original into the new one. But here the game is called Triads, and that's what they got it the wrong way around. They called it Pyramids, but Pyramids is the card game that they play. So they got those two switched around in the new series. So in
this game, sluts wearing different colors outfits throw a sort of a rounded, baseless butt plug.
It's called a ball.
An extremely large anal bead, and they get really excited. It's blue versus gold, or bleu versus gold.
It reminds me.
They start off holding hands.
Ring around the rosy style,
around the
like,
roses.
honestly.
A bit, yeah. But yeah, there's
venereal disease.
Hip padding. No, it's about the plague.
know.
The Black Plague.
Black Plague. That's great. And, they're so
okay.
athletic.
I don't think any of these need to have microphone, but there is something that never mind. It's just padding, but there's just like this giant square box in someone's like ass.
That does look a bit like
right
it, yes.
in the camera.
Yeah, that's
but
right.
It's definitely not a microphone.
And a handheld microphone stuffed down the front. Are they all dude sluts or is it lady sluts?
No,
as
they're
well?
all dudes here.
Okay.
This also just reminds me of like the like Aztec type game that they showed in the Road to El Dorado.
Yeah.
Oh, and the hoop ball.
But there the losers get beheaded.
Like, I know it's based on a real actual game.
But that's why they get the losers though. They get sacrificed. Or maybe the winners. I'm not sure. Like it could be a big honor to.
Hey, why did you do a jerk off motion with sacrifice?
It's a stabbing motion.
No, that's also an important part of Pyramid. Look. They're all, oh wow. You see how the groupies come up to them and they sort of shoulder them aside and instead like grab one another. Look at the abs on that black fella.
Yeah, there is a lot of like late 70s homoeroticism here.
Oh yes.
I'm okay with it. Like,
yeah.
Colonel, have a heart. We just ran ourselves ragged playing Triad, and I need a drink.
You'll need one even more when you find out what's happened.
Oh no.
So, Boomer and Jolly.
Boo! Okay, now we're just gonna watch some boring f***ing sci-fi. I'm gonna get another drink or something.
Okay.
I didn't know it was this hot!
And that was a clip from this month's episode. As always, we release these episodes every single month as a thank you for supporting us here at The Joy of Trek. And if you would like to support us on The Joy of Trek, you can go to patreon.com/joyoftrek or joyoftrek.com/links to support us with just a few dollars a month if you're able to. If not, We still appreciate you, and we hope that you will still send us your recommendations and keep being a loyal listener. Now, with that said, here's back to the episode.
And we're back.
Woohoo! Yes, boot full of sand.
Yes, yeah, that's what he says.
You're lying. I never lie when I've got sand in my shoes, Commodore.
Okay, sure. Whatever you think.
Because Geordi's sitting so casually while this crouching, twitchy, disheveled-looking Romulan has a disruptor pointed at him.
Yeah.
I was like, no, I just wanted to get the sand out of my shoe. Pointing out that this Romulan isn't identifying himself.
No.
And I just decided to call you Commodore.
Yeah.
The first and only time that rank is mentioned in The Next Generation.
Is it?
Yeah, Memory Alpha says so. So
okay.
Yeah, we could trust that. There's a lot of nerds on there.
Yeah, okay. I would have thought that, like, Commodore or something or the other, like that guy, that reverse aging guy, probably must have been a general or an admiral.
Yeah, something like that.
Sure what a Commodore actually does.
I don't know either.
I mean,
I know the rank has appeared in the original series.
Okay. I mean, I know that in Pirates of the Caribbean, Jack Sparrow mentions at some point that he's willing to work with what's Tentacle Face again, and says like
David Jones,
because I'll be the captain of the Black Pearl, and then you can you captain your own ship, and then you can be Commodore.
Oh.
Like, see, no, it can't be because like he's the whatever. So that implying that like the Commodore is the like the head of a fleet.
But that's an admiral.
Yeah, I guess maybe.
We know this from Battlestar Galactica, where Rosalind says, "I do believe that the leader of a fleet with more than one ship is called an admiral."
Yeah.
Oh, hey, Chief, what the f*** is a Commodore?
So a Commodore is really just a rank above captain. It's when you begin into the Admiralty. So you're in charge of more than just your own personal ship. You're now involved in multiple ships. And actually looking this up, there was a funny thing that I found about this. In the original script, these lines were deleted, but there was a line with Geordi saying, "And you're a Centurion. Well, stay with it. You'll be a Commodore someday." And Bochra came back with, "I'm not certain of the equivalent Federation rank, but I do know that it's higher than Lieutenant Commander."
Okay.
We forget how easy this can be because we're not actually stuck on Geordi and Core. We're not trapped with dysfunctional communicators. We just have the chief through that.
Glorm Core. No, wait.
I happen to get that, but that's a long road to get the audience caught up.
Let's leave it at that. And
it's a great joke, Kay, but let's file that under. Okay, this is the kind of thing. Hey, this is our promise. If we ever meet, you and us, at a convention or something where we could sit down and like have something to drink, it does not have to be alcoholic. That is the moment that you can ask us, "Hey, Kaki, hey, Kay, what was that Glorm Core joke about?" And if you have a half hour, then we can walk you through that, and then you can walk away, which will probably be the response. But then you'll know.
Yes. All right. So more falling rock. The rocks fall. Everybody dies. Oh no, wait. It's just the Romulan who gets crushed under the. And Geordi helps him up and carries him to safety.
Geordi's got a nice ass on him.
He does. And
the chief I want to see in the back.
Click it. Whenever you say that, click it. And then that way...
I don't do the chiefs anymore. I just have screenshots now. I know.
Oh, okay.
I know. But he's carrying Bochra off, and they're crawling through the caves to safety together.
And Bochra's immediately back on with the disruptor, and Geordi's like, "Oh, come on!
You got to be kidding me!"
Yeah, I could have taken that from you, and this is how you repay me.
But that's how trust is built, slowly and with effort.
Yeah. Worf has a little heart-to-heart with Crusher.
Yeah,
it's
she has some good news for him.
Good news, yes.
Yeah.
Good news, I found a donor, it's you.
And it takes a while before she understands why Worf is so hesitant. Like, I thought you understood that this was the point of the test that I was doing. Well, I don't object to tests.
Yeah.
Oh, but you object to being a donor.
Yeah.
And
you can see the gears crunching in the doctor's ear.
And she's thinking back to, like, her ethics lesson with Professor Pauline that she didn't really pay attention to because she's full of workahol. Who wouldn't want to volunteer part of their body to save somebody else?
Yep.
It makes the most sense. She just isn't prepared for this at all.
If you had seen them kill your parents, you would understand, Doctor. It is always the time and place for those feelings.
This Romulan didn't murder your parents. And you are the only one who can save his life.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, she doesn't have any personal experience with racism. which is what's happening here. Like trauma-induced racism. Now, there's some modification because he is part of the Romulan Star Empire and the Romulan Navy, and he's a combatant.
Mm-hmm. And behind enemy lines.
Enemy lines, and both as a Starfleet officer, which is a Cold War with the Romulans, but I think probably the Klingons have their own opinions about Romulans.
Klingons aren't part... Have they joined the Federation yet at this point? No, they haven't.
No, they have at least like...
But they have an alliance.
An alliance,
yes.
Which is like a non-aggression pact or a mutual defense treaty.
Something like that, yes.
Along those lines. But yeah, famously, Romulans attacked Khitomer colony and caused the death of Worf's birth parents.
Yes.
Where he wound up being adopted by humans.
The Roshenkovs. I love the Roshenkovs.
Does that mean Worf's Jewish?
Well,
because the Roshenkos are presented like they're Jewish presenting.
Right, but it's only through the maternal line, and I don't think it goes through adoption. So,
I don't know how that goes.
Yeah, it's usually you're Jewish through your maternal line.
Oh,
because that's the only thing that they can be sure of. You know, the dad could be anybody, strictly speaking, but the mom you always know.
Our friend Hauke, which I think is how you pronounce the Danish name, in our chat group, actually, I'm just remembering, brought up this question and then therefore asked, so did he have a double bris? Because Klingons famously have two of everything.
Right, well, I guess. But yes, he leaves her with the...
Then he will die.
And she's sitting there just looking stunned, going like, wow, that didn't go the way I expected.
Yeah. And I think I really appreciate where this is coming from, because this is a different, but like a different sort of framework of morality, where Worf, despite like his motivation for honor, feels no obligation to sacrifice his body in any way.
My Starfleet training tells me one thing, but everything I am tells me another.
So he's definitely he definitely understands the Starfleet point, but yeah, it's just.
And there's maybe even a part of him that would like this conflict to be resolved, that would maybe like Picard to order him to do it.
Yes, I clearly think so, because you can see that in the way that when Picard talks to him the last time, and like at the end, then Picard goes like, Lieutenant, and he stands a little bit straighter, and you can see it that he's
waiting for the
he's
order.
Expecting to be ordered at a point, and
it won't bother him. He might even be looking forward to it.
Yeah, I mean, it would take the moral decision of his plate, and
because he also doesn't want to disappoint Picard or Beverly.
Right, absolutely not. This is where the whole enemy mine plot line...
Oh, very good. I was wondering if you were going to come up with that. The famous... Oh, is it Kurt Russell?
Oh, I don't remember.
Chief?
Yeah, no, definitely not Kurt Russell. This was Dennis Quaid in the 1985 movie Enemy Mine.
Who winds up on a planet alone. It's sort of like a precursor to Darmok as well.
A little bit. It was also done by the original Battlestar Galactica in their infamous second season, the 1980s, when there was a Starbuck episode where he gets crash-landed with a Cylon.
Was it Starbuck or Apollo?
Starbuck, I believe.
And a Cylon Centurion. Yeah. Hey, wasn't that before Enemy Mine?
No, don't know.
It's very close, Chief.
Yeah.
Okay, this one was a little bit confusing because the production of Battlestar Galactica and then Galactica 1980 just makes no sense to me. Whatever, I'm not going to try and make sense of that. So that episode came out in May 4th, 1980, and Enemy Mine came out 85, but they're both drawing from the 1968 movie Hell in the Pacific with Lee Marvin and Toshiro Mifune, which just delves into the same thing that these ones are delving into.
All I remember, like, it was a really excellent film for anyone who hasn't seen it yet. Like the development of trust between enemies, and it also has this, like, these aliens. They're properly alien, and they have this gurgling chanting that they do. That's part of their language.
And there's little green balls of food stuff that they eat, which I remember.
Oh yeah, that's right. There's really a very lot in that film. It's an excellent film.
I mean, I haven't seen that film in 30 years or more.
Oh, actually, the Chief can fill us in on a bit more, because when the Chief and I did our podcast Rebel Air about Star Wars Rebels, they had an episode very much like this, where an Imperial Security Bureau officer and one of our Rebel heroes were trapped on an island, on an ice moon together.
Yeah.
And I think it was like based on the Defiant Ones or the Honorable Ones. It's a film based on it. Except there, they totally fell in love and had, intimate fun times together for the first time. A relationship which would later continue and would wind up with them opening a bed and breakfast together.
Nice.
For definite. I don't think I ever told you about this, but like when Greg convinced me to do this podcast with him because he really wanted me to see Star Wars Rebels, his favorite Star Wars series, I agreed to avow Star Wars celibacy.
Okay.
Silencing it on Twitter and avoiding spoilers as much as possible. But one little spoiler made it through. And I told him, okay, one little spoiler made it through, and I will never admit what it is.
Okay.
Right? And I kept that secret. And then things happened in the series, and he asked me, okay, Kaki, was this thing that just happened, was that one of the things that was spoiled for you? Because it seemed like you were hinting to one. I was like, no. What was spoiled for me was the idea. I read an interview with the voice actor who played one of these characters, and I thought that he was totally gonna fall in gay love with this other character based on that. But last week was the start of Pride Month.
Yeah.
And on the Disney Plus, there was no sign of them two kissing. So now I guess they don't get together.
Okay.
Garazeb, justice for Garazeb.
Okay, so...
Sorry, do I get to have a tangent with Kaki? Sort of, oh, you're holding up you remember the sign! Listeners at home, he held up the sign. It was only a single Vulcan salute, so I don't know that he's so serious about moving on just yet, but yes, let's move on.
Because yes, I just listened to that episode where we were talking about the signs just the other day on the train back from work, so... But yes, they have a little bit of comparative morality between Romulans and Federationals.
Oh, yes! Because Bochra is curious about Geordi's visor.
Yeah.
No wonder your race is weak. You waste time and resources on defective children.
And yeah, Geordi's like, well, yeah, I'm kind of glad they did, you know?
Yeah, and maybe you are glad that they did too, you ableist piece of shit.
And he notices, thanks to his piece of technology, that the Romulan is not doing too well. His body temperature is going up, his neural synapses, he's seeing stuff that he's not doing well, and he urges him to must get out.
Yes. The Romulan says he's been feeling worse since he got here, and must be degrading, and Geordi, who's been having a little trouble with his visor, says that all the diagnostics come back clear. It must be on my brain.
Right, yes.
That the errors are occurring. And finally manages to convince his enemy we have to work together in order to get out of here. Like, whichever ship winds up rescuing us, it's got to be better than dying here.
Oh, yes.
And I have an instrument that can guide us toward this beacon. But just when they've decided to work together...
Oh no, his visor shuts down, or at least his brain shuts down, and now they have to find another solution.
Jinkies.
Meanwhile, the Romulan ship is fastly approaching the border of the neutral zone.
Yeah.
And he goes like, hey, I'm just swinging by like I said I would be, and you're not there like I said you would be.
Yeah, I thought that we agreed.
Yes.
I thought that there had been an agreement.
Picard doubles down.
If the point has not yet been made clearly, Commander, let me make it again. Romulan warships do not enter Federation space unless they are prepared to do battle.
Yeah. The determination on Picard, because he's kind of doing the inverse of what Tomalak is doing. Because Tomalak starts off with deception and gaslighting. Mm-hmm. No, actually they're doing the same thing. Doing the deception and gaslighting, and then coming closer to really revealing his true motivations.
Well, I mean, Picard has pretty much constantly been telling the truth. He's like, we can't come because we've got an away team on the planet which we can't get out through to thanks to the radiation.
But
that's
he leaves
true.
him the impression,
right?
He doesn't say that he's not going to be there. Leaves him with a false impression, lying through omission. But now he's being very, very clear. Yeah. Any incursion into our space.
Yeah, he turns around. If you're so concerned about the life of your one officer, then be concerned about the life of all the other ones on board of the ship in case you cross out of the neutral zone. It's like,
yeah. He says he's singularly impressed by the Romulan commander's concern. Now here's an interesting scene. We see Riker doing shots in his room I'm assuming that those are like espressos or whatever.
That's the impression I got, yeah. It's more like he's like, Worf comes in and then you see him like, wait, I'm going to need a drink of this before I need to finish this before I'm having this conversation.
Because it's Worf who comes to seek out him.
Yes.
And then also immediately, oh, you're busy, I'll leave again. And explains his quandary to Riker. He chooses Riker to talk to, which I think is a really interesting choice. And he even asks Riker's opinion. And Riker...
So it's like, in my opinion, it doesn't really matter here. Yeah.
Yeah, because he understands what's going on. That Worf's looking for guidance from a superior officer, and he won't give it. Because the question is, what do you want?
Yeah.
Because your duty doesn't compel you, and apparently your honor doesn't either.
Yeah. I mean, that seems to make sense.
Yeah. So the opinions of others shouldn't guide you either. We're not going to let you out that easy.
But he leaves. Oh, no, so he gets summoned to sickbay. That's why the conversation. Riker says,
yeah.
Oh, well, glad that's over.
Hot potato passed on.
Yes. They have a little conversation about how the Romulan is getting close to dying.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's not too late to change your mind.
I thought it important for you to see him again. It's not too late to change your mind.
And I was sort of surprised that Worf didn't go, oh, you brought me over here so I could watch Romulan die? Oh, that's so nice. I'll get some snacks. Come on, we'll watch him die together.
Yeah.
This is so cool.
That's so considerate of you.
Oh,
Thank you.
Now I have another one to add to my recordings. Oh, I'll set up the light just right. Like I really want to see the lights go out.
A little GoPro, yeah. But in fact,
actually, I changed my mind. Can you leave the room? Leave the Kleenex. So anyway,
but I wouldn't use those tissues. They've already been had.
Stick Stephen.
Oh, what's his name again? Yes,
Stephen. Reference. It's a song by Stephen.
Chief, can you look that one up for us, please?
Why am I not getting it?
Yeah, so this song is You Caught Me Spanking It by Stephen Lynch. Or as Kay will say, it's
like the theme song of Starbase 69.
Oh, I don't know about that. I don't remember all the lyrics, but I remember enough that that's probably not something to be piping through the PA system every morning at Reveille. Oh no, just air horns, just like we heard earlier from the Chief. Because on 69, everybody wakes up with a horn.
Oh. Yes. Wow.
Yeah, we really do need a reward sound effect, don't we?
The Romulan, however, makes it easier because he grabs him by the sash and goes like, I wouldn't pollute my body with Klingon filth.
Whoa.
And yeah. I guess, yeah, Worf goes like, well, okay.
It's mutual.
Problem solved.
I wonder if maybe this actually makes him, like, respect and appreciate the Romulan even more.
I guess so, in a way.
Right, because he's found a kindred spirit here.
Maybe, yeah.
Like, I remember, okay, so we live in a little neighborhood, in a little cul-de-sac that's really quite cozy. The neighborhoods are very traditionally Dutch and nosy, and we don't really have anything to do with that. So,
no.
So we like our little fortress of solitude. And then once there was a little fender bender between my husband's car and somebody else, and they came over to our door to say, oh, oops, I had a little whoopsie, did all the paperwork the way that you're supposed to. And we're like, okay, we haven't seen each other before. Yeah, well, we like to keep to ourselves, they say. We don't really get involved with the other neighbors. And we're like, oh, we found kindred spirits. Hey, maybe we should invite them over for dinner. Wait, that's how it starts.
Let's not ruin a good thing here.
Exactly.
Yes, Geordi and the Centurion are having a little talk together because Geordi's visor has completely stopped working for him, but they can find a way to come up and basically turn it into a kind of like a metal detector, you know.
It's like a divining rod almost,
exactly.
Right?
We just need to find the direction and we'll just keep walking. I don't need any accurate measurements. I just need to okay, more neutrinos in that direction. Let's head on that way.
And it's Bochra.
And I will be your eyes.
But he says,
you're giving up already? It's like,
is that how Starfleet does it?
Giving up like a human.
Yeah, which is fantastic.
He's kind of like egging him on a little bit, yes.
Because he is giving up too easily.
Meanwhile, Geordi is sitting there blinking like a windmill in the night.
Wow. Well, it can't be comfortable.
Oh, no.
As an actor to have vision-impairing lenses.
No, totally, yeah. No, I'm talking about. When I said blinking like a windmill, I meant like the little red lights on his temples, which, like the little navigation, the little aircraft warning lights that they put on very tall buildings, and
that are also on our
electricity generating windmills.
You've got hydroelectric and what's windmills called? I mean, you call it wind power, but venti-electric.
Oh, that's Starbuck.
But they hatch a plan together that Geordi will talk Bochra through the necessary adjustments in order to link his visor to his tricorder.
Yep.
And then also use his eyes, and Geordi will help him walk because his legs are not working.
The lame leading the blind or something. That's the one actually. That's exactly right. There is a window opening up for transporter power, but... And
also, second bit of news, Captain.
Yes. Oh, assemble a team, and then Captain is like, the Romulan warship is... Okay, belay that order. It's the second time. He belays 2 orders in this episode, I think.
He's a decisive man.
Yeah.
New information, new policy.
Red alert.
Red alert. And this close-up, this is blue steel.
Oh, yeah.
Like, his look is on point here.
They go and set off to find the beacon, and we have...
Let her rip, says Geordi.
Yeah. And we
Hell yeah.
Well, we know what Geordi says the thing is now when he says it on the bridge.
Bearing 350.
We did it! The first Federation Romulan co-venture.
This is awesome. Because they have no beef. Right, Bochra had probably never met a human before. Geordi had never met a Romulan before.
Not in person, at least. Yeah.
And they have nothing between them except for like their basic distrust and the sort of politics around them. Ooh, this episode is called "The Enemy."
Yeah,
is the enemy mistrust?
Ooh, could be.
Is the enemy like baggage?
Yeah, I don't think that's philosophical, but it's a nice spin to put on it, yes.
Because, not to like raise the shields again, but there is no evidence that we're given that the Romulans who crashed were doing anything wrong.
Other than being in Federation space.
Which the only explanation given is a navigational error.
Yeah.
There's no evidence that that's not true.
Yeah, there's also no evidence that it is true. But
Yeah. We have no reason to believe, we have no reason to discount that possibility.
Yeah.
So if this was the case...
It's fairly charitable considering the average behavior of the Romulans, you know?
But it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because even if it was that best case scenario, they were still at the same risk of unleashing war as if it was, it was a spy operation or bioweapons or whatever. Because the enemy here is mistrust. The thing that all of them want to avoid is war.
Yes.
Right? It's almost inconceivable that there's something that the Romulans were up to that is so valuable that Picard would rather withhold the prisoners and trigger a war than hand over the prisoners and prevent a war.
Well,
or
okay.
The survivor.
Okay. Counterpoint.
Okay.
The captain, he asked, was there anybody else on the planet? To which the Romulan lies. He says, no.
Yes.
The Romulan captain asks, what about the shuttle? And Picard says, it's destroyed. And the Romulan probably presuming that Picard lies and that he knows, and Picard knows what he's up to.
Because that would be Romulan policy.
Yeah, that's what he would do.
Yes.
So maybe he's like, okay, at the very best, he has no way to be sure whether or not that is true. And it might as well be that they knew, which implies that something must have been up, because otherwise he wouldn't be concerned about it. If there was nothing up, if it was a genuine shuttle which just made a navigational area and there's no funny business on board, then you wouldn't be concerned about it.
Well, it is a piece of proprietary technology, but you're right. Ooh, I have one last counterpoint. God, these shields are getting a workout. Is that he doesn't ask for Patak's body?
Yeah, maybe
at the end. I know we're so. If Picard wanted to keep a Romulan prisoner to interrogate, he could just tell Tomalak that he died.
Right, yes. No, Picard at that point doesn't know yet that there's another second Romulan.
Okay, then we... Okay, sorry, let's get back onto the episode. We actually have to walk through it. Wobbly like a foal, freshly born, Bochra clambers onto his wobbly legs and together they head out.
Stumbled off towards the beacon. Yes. Picard summons Worf for one last attempt to convince him.
I assume you know what it's about.
Which is a huge red flag when you walk into a room with a superior officer.
So Jan says, no, I'm sure. I don't know, but at least that's what you tell the cops when they say, like, do you know why I pulled you over? I have no idea, officer.
You're about to tell me, though.
It smells like weed here. That's funny.
I don't notice. I noticed. If you say so.
Yeah. Ooh, that might be dangerous, but yeah, anyway. Somebody must have run over a skunk, is also a good one.
Huh.
Anyway, yes, so he says, if he dies, then it might just be the excuse he needs. Well, I don't think he needs an excuse, but, if he's willing to go to war.
Everyone's got an escalation of force sort of manual. Every commander has that in their mind. They don't want to jump to war. And even if they do, they have a set of requirements before that can be acceptable. So he's trying to model what is Tomalak's limit for peace and his excuse for war. And this is one of the things that Picard's concerned about. And he talks to Worf about his track record for trying to find a balance between the personal dignity of the officer under his command and his duty to serve the interests of the Federation.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, God knows I haven't always made the right decisions.
Yes, I haven't always balanced the needs of the many and the needs of the few, or the one.
Yeah, very good.
But yes, he says...
Worf says he wouldn't complain.
I don't want to order you. And Worf says, if you do, I will... Oh, crap.
Oh, yeah, we haven't gone as quickly as we thought.
He begs him to volunteer.
Back to warp. Yeah, he used the word beg. Chief, has Picard begged before in Star Trek The Next Generation?
That's a good question.
Okay, so short answer, no. Picard has never begged anything in Star Trek Next Generation. He's only ever said, I beg your pardon, and he's said it 7 times.
So yes, so then he gets him to attention, and that Lieutenant, that's all. And he tells Beverly that you can stop bugging Worf, and she's like, yeah, it's too late anyway.
Oh, I wasn't going to anyway. Patient's dead.
Which kind of made this whole discussion a moot point. This whole exchange between Worf and Picard.
A bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Which it just might have been a matter of seconds.
Right. Which probably wouldn't have been enough anyway, because then Worf would have to go down. They would have to do the extraction, probably do a little bit of refinement, and then inject him, and then it might still have been too late. Yeah.
I wonder if Worf's sitting outside Picard's door, sort of listening in,
like a little glass against his ear against the wall,
and then he hears that the patient's already dead and goes,
"Damn it!
I missed it."
Yeah. Good thing I left the GoPro. Good thing I left the GoPro there.
Romulan ship approaching, bearing 354, mark 287. On screen.
I love the Romulan warbird in Next Generation. The Deridex class. I recently posted on the Joy of Trek Twitter account a mashup that I'd made, a Photoshop of a Romulan warbird and Ellen DeGeneres' face with no comment.
Wow.
Which got one like. One person got Ellen Deridex from that.
Yes, okay.
That person is my true homie.
Is that what the Romulans called them, or is that what the Federation calls them?
It doesn't seem like a Federation name. It feels like Romulan-ish, based on the South. They have a pie and they have a...
I mean, just like, in the US and between the US and the Soviet Union at the time, all the Soviet planes had you generally got a code name, like, Foxbat or whatever it was for the...
Oh, right, so, because their actual designation wasn't
they didn't
known.
know. Yeah, exactly. Anyway, there is a little bit of an exchange. The Romulan demands that his officer be returned to him immediately.
Can't, dead.
Yep, sorry.
And we have a crew that we need to beam up. And Picard is faced with a challenge of command.
Yeah.
Because...
they're both ships are fully shielded up and disruptors and phasers charged.
Hey, why aren't the Romulans cloaked?
Yeah.
That would be a huge tactical advantage.
Why doesn't the Enterprise drop the aft shields and beam them in through there, and then while they're squared off with the Romulan ship?
Yeah, that's not known to be possible. Besides, a photon torpedo can go around.
Yeah. That's what you've got flak cannons for,
This isn't Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, well, flak phasers.
Ooh, that's a good idea. Oh, how would you make those work? Oh no, now we can't go back to Pound Town with K. How do you modify a phaser to go like full wide beam?
Oh well, what you need is a phased array that can basically aim the beam. It's kind of like, imagine like a goalkeeper or a patriot, but then instead of shooting loads of bullets, you just have like a phaser which you can like quickly direct fire with at close range. It doesn't have to be strong, just enough to burst a photon torpedo or whatever it is that the Romulans use for ordnance.
Oh, that's a good point. We don't know. Oh, they're probably photon torpedoes. They've got disruptors instead of phasers. Yes. Everybody else uses photons. But yes, in order to rescue the survivors, which they think is 2 life forms, but they're not entirely sure.
Right.
And Picard decides to take a gamble, because the Romulans don't know how sensitive Starfleet sensors are.
Yes. Picard first tries to open the hailing frequency. At first it's ignored.
Yeah.
Later they actually manage to open the frequency, but there's no response. So clearly the Romulans are like, okay, we're listening, but that's about it. Yeah.
Also, give them more than 2 seconds to respond and find the button, Worf, before making these assumptions. But yeah, Picard says, okay, there's one of my officers, one of your officers.
Actually, it's interesting, because like what they go is like, they're hail the Romulans, they are ignoring our hail, repeat the hail, open hey you frequencies, basically.
Yeah.
And then he says, open a frequency. So first there's a hail, but then apparently Worf can force a frequency open.
What the f*** is opening a frequency? That doesn't mean anything.
I know, just like basically start broadcasting, I guess.
Yeah, but like it doesn't mean anything. It's fine. It probably means something that doesn't even closely resemble whatever it sounds like it means.
Yeah, but Picard goes and says like, well, it looks like we found another survivor. Would you know anything about that? But we're going to beam them up, and fortunately we're pointing our guns at each other, and we need to show a gesture of trust.
Do you know what, Kay?
Yeah?
This is such a great speech. Let's just hear it.
All right.
Our next actions will have serious repercussions. We have good reason to mistrust one another, but we have even better reason to set those differences aside. Now, of course, the question is, who will take the initiative? Who will make the first gesture of trust? The answer is I will. I must lower our shields to beam those men up from the planet's surface. Once the shields are down, you will, of course, have the opportunity to fire on us. If you do, you will destroy not only the Enterprise and its crew, but the ceasefire that the Romulans and the Federation now enjoy.
This is Picard, Picarding at his finest.
At his Picardist.
Yeah, he's Picarder. Picard with a vengeance. Oh my God, live free, your Picard. This is amazing.
Born to Picard. But yes, frequency open, show visuals on the bridge, beam 2 to beam up. And we have Geordi and the Centurion who are now appearing on the bridge.
And on the screen appears Andreas Katsoulas. I love his appearances.
Again, immediately with the threats. If he has been mistreated. It's like...
Yeah.
Not like, oh, good to see you, you know.
You don't know what their policy is. Like, in this episode, I can be fully on the side of the Romulans, right? Imagine if this was totally on board, it was a pure accident, and each of these captains is just performing their sort of manual for escalation of force and the protocols for contact with alien species, because they're both in command of warships, right? Yeah. They're authorized and encouraged to use their weaponry for the interests of their government.
Bit of a good old gunboat diplomacy.
Yeah, exactly. Like, they get very different training from commanders of starships that don't have superior weaponry.
I suppose, yeah.
Because it's part of that. And the Centurion...
I've given them no information, Commander. But I have not been mistreated.
That's the first thing he says.
Yeah.
Which is also, you know...
Yeah.
I guess when your culture is entirely based on secrecy, like it's, oh, hi, Grandma, I told my teachers nothing. Yeah. It's just what you say when you walk into a house.
Fair enough, yeah.
Right? Like, how's dinner? I'm telling you nothing, Grandma. Ah, very good,
How is it possible that you didn't know the second Romulan on Geordi and Bochra?
A simple misunderstanding, Captain Picard. I was obviously misinformed as to the size of the craft.
Blah, blah, blah. Do you doubt my good faith? Yes. Actually, that's what he said, but...
Bochra also says that he owes his life to this Starfleet officer. And the incident is resolved.
Yep. Escort Geordi and Worf get to escort the Centurion back to Transport Room 1. And...
where O'Brien has been standing on standby for a full, 30 minutes at this point. Because he was called up, Transporter Room on standby, and then we're going to have our face-off.
Yeah. And despite the fact that he said that they would escort them to the neutral zone, the two ships fly off in different directions.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. I mean, maybe it's like ships passing in the night. Maybe they need to. They don't have the tightest turning circle.
I guess not. I mean, we know.
Oh, yeah, and the fact that the Romulans still aren't cloaked.
Yeah.
That's in their favor, right? Because they could have done that, and they elected not to.
I suppose so, yes.
They elected to make themselves entirely visible.
If anything, that'll show as a sign of good faith.
Right, yeah.
But, yeah.
Because both of them are also concerned with whatever I do here has to be above board. It has to be defensible.
Right, yes.
Right? To ensure that the war was caused by the other side.
Yeah.
And that's how I can best serve my government. Riker points out to Picard, obviously hugely relieved that Geordi's okay. Close call.
Yeah, Brinkmanship is a dangerous game. That's a good...
da, da, da. And no come down from this.
No.
Because it was still the 80s, it was the early 90s. You just end an episode like that.
I mean, yes.
I was very briefly tempted to just do that ourselves as well, but we have segments.
Unfortunately, we have to. Yes. Well, not unfortunately, I love doing them. So
yeah. So in this episode, for our MVP segment, who did you think was so fucking cool?
Let's see, who was so fucking cool? Oh, I think the mine goes to the VFX department because we got to see Geordi Cam.
Oh yes. Yeah, even before the remastered edition, which is what we watched. Yeah, they created these effects. I think it had occurred previously as well.
Yes, actually I read some. I don't remember. But Chief, can you tell us? Is this the first time, or is it like?
So I love these kinds of questions because it lets me dig into things and find things more. This is not the first time that we've seen Geordi's POV. We saw him in Heart of Glory, The Mind's Eye, as well as in Star Trek Generations, so we've seen through his perspective a few times. And we do see in Star Trek First Contact basically Predator Vision stalking Zefram Cochrane, be like, he's over there, followed by the line, you told him about the statue? Which is one of my favorites.
Thank you.
Thank you. It isn't. I already know. It isn't the first time.
All right.
It gets a lot more attention. But yeah, seeing this multispectral, I mean, it looks like false color, but that's only because our visual range isn't as broad as Geordi's. He sees deeper into EM.
Yeah, presumably they have to condense that into the visual spectrum, because his brain is still only... I don't know how that works.
Who knows how much data the brain's capable of processing? True. Because it only gets a certain amount of signals from the the old eyes.
Interesting to see how that would... But yeah, then that has to somehow be translated into something that we can understand as the viewer. So yeah, that's mine.
Oh, excellent. Mine, in an unconventional move, Kay, is you.
Wow.
Because you had some... I think you're so f***ing cool. You had some excellent jokes today. I think you did a really, really good job, and I'm so glad to...
thank you
You
very
have your
much.
own segment now. And it has an excellent name. You just brought me to the brink of tears. So you're my MVP.
Oh, wow. Thank you. I appreciate that.
But as for the...
Captain's log, supplemental.
What deleted scenes do you think were...
I already described the whole blacksmithing episode that was kind of left out. But okay, I'll do another one. It's basically after Geordi escorts the Centurion back to Transporter Room 1, about to beam him over, a couple of guys from sickbay come in with that bed with the dead Romulan on. They they heave-ho him onto the transporter pad as well, and then beam everything over.
What the fuck? That's so great. Okay, I was just about to ask, hey, do we even need to do these anymore? Because, we discussed them during the episode anymore, and then you come in with this. So maybe we'll give it a little more for this segment to see. And then mine's going to be the hour-long diatribe that Geordi holds. Like, he calls together a senior officers meeting.
Yeah.
And he said, and he has a presentation, and the presentation consists of these large holographic words that say, hats! Raincoats, rope.
I was going to say, yeah. The next time we're going to have we're going to tie each other together with climbing rope. And
Just pitons, flares, fucking anything.
Or maybe even just a what's it called again? A thread of some Greek storyteller, the one that he used to walk around the maze in, which is used by cave divers. They basically have a spool with a...
Was that Theseus?
No, he's into shipping.
No, but Theseus also faced the Minotaur, didn't he?
Oh, could be. Don't know. But
Chief!
Yes.
Cocky! You literally were just complimenting Kay's joke, and you completely gave him nothing for Theseus being into shipping. I'm so disappointed in you. Kay, that was fantastic. And Cocky, you're correct that it was Theseus who slew the Minotaur and used Ariadne's string to guide him through the maze. So you're both right. You're both great. I love you both, idiots.
Thank you. But yeah, cave divers use that as well to make sure that they can find the way back. So even if the lights go out and complete dark,
breadcrumb trail.
They can
but
just
in the form of
exactly
a bit of string.
Yep. That they just
rope's great, isn't it?
It is. Rope's fantastic.
Yeah. So why don't we have that, Captain Picard? Why do you send us in our fucking space pajamas? Like, no elbow pads.
He was dry when he came back. Can't be that
elbow
bad.
pads.
They're built in. Maybe they've got...
They're not. You can rip those sleeves off.
True. And I guess they don't have the built-in automatic airbag system when they fall over and
exactly. They've got micro-inertial dampeners in the chairs that barely work. Can't we just have a belt with them? Apparently not. But his whole argument sort of falls apart because he kind of loses track of what the really important stuff is. Like they were sort of considering, we could have Starfleet issue raincoats. But then they get to the last slide, which is him insisting that they have sand-proof boots. And he's so insistent on that. And nobody can follow him anymore, and he just loses the room and nothing ever gets actioned.
Yeah. I can see that happening.
Right,
yeah,
exactly. And this is a pro tip for anyone who's in a position where sometimes you call a meeting at work or at school or wherever, and you're trying to get something done. Remember what the focus is and keep people on that. And don't let anyone, especially yourself, wander off.
Could you really not just put this in an email?
You wouldn't have read the email.
Absolutely. That's what makes it even better.
All right, let's see what the Chief has in store for us for next week. We have some clues that we can maybe figure out what the next episode is that we're going to review. Yep. That has been recommended to us by our listeners. Because if you go to joyoftrek.com/links, you can send us a recommendation, and we'd love to hear about an episode that you love more than anyone. Because, Leah sent in this recommendation for an episode that is neither on best of nor worst of lists.
Oh, yes, good point.
And it's fucking fantastic. So thank you so much, Leah. And your perspectives were also really valuable. So if you're listening at home and you have an idea for an episode that maybe nobody thinks about in the modern era, in the classic era, in the Berman era, please let us know. And also, if you think, hey, these boys they're doing their best out there, they're really sort of trying, we do have a sort of Patreon that helps us keep the lights on and pays for
the
our
hosting bills.
Software and hosting bills, which, yes, they do keep piling up every month. We do this with great joy. We also want to put a few shekels in the pocket of our hard-working chief engineer. So you can find the link to our Patreon on joyoftrek.com/links.
Now hit it on.
Okay.
5,000, 10,000, what's the difference? The speed of technological advancement isn't nearly as important as short-term quarterly gains.
Oh, Ferengi.
That sounds very Ferengi.
That's Ferengi, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I think that was Nog in DS9.
Okay.
Yeah.
We could travel the galaxy, exploring new worlds and new civilizations.
Okay, not really narrowing it down, although, that may be Q. Q made one appearance on DS9.
Okay.
If they'll buy poison, they'll buy anything.
Oh, I recognize this so much.
That sounds like Quark.
Yeah, I think he's talking about cigarettes or alcohol or something.
Isn't one of the Time Travel to Earth episodes or weird...
Oh, whoa!
Isn't there something like that? Isn't there an episode of DS9 where that happens?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah?
I know everything about you people. Baseball, root beer, darts.
Yeah, that's definitely
atom
cool.
bombs.
I think this is a famous one where you have to
You think this is the Roswell one?
Oh, I don't know about that, but it could be the where they have this is just like homeless camps, like all major cities back in the early 21st century had them.
The Bell riots.
That's the one, yeah.
Past tense, I believe that was called. But Quark wasn't involved in that.
Wasn't he? Oh, okay.
No.
All right.
He was involved in time travel shenanigans where him and his fellow Ferengi are the Roswell aliens.
Okay.
From the 1947 supposed crash.
Probably that one then.
You mean your people are going to invade Cleveland?
Okay, we're getting closer. I think it's Little Green Men. Let's find out.
The episode is DS9 408. Little Green.
Yeah, it's very good.
Yeah,
excellent.
Oh, and I know who recommended that, Brian. So I'm excited to hear that recommendation. Thank you for joining us on the podcast. And for those of you who are wondering,
the hell is this?
I'm leaving Starfleet.
Energize!
We hope you enjoyed this week's episode with your friends Kay and Kaki. Production and editing by your chief engineer Greg. Music by Fox Amore. Join us next time for DS9 408 Little Green Men. Visit joyoftrek.com/links to send us your recommendation, support us on Patreon, or to find us on Twitter. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you for listening to The Joy of Trek. We'll see you out there.